All right, I'm going to go ahead and call our meeting to order. This will be our January 4th Town Council meeting. Could I get a roll call, please?
Morris.
Yes.
Edwards. Yes. Woods.
Present.
Lee.
Here.
Cottle.
Here.
Casanello.
Present.
Aiken.
Here. At this time, we're going to have Pastor Barry Phipps from the Sound Church come up and a little bit about your church, and then if we could all stand, and then we'll do an invocation.
Sure. I am Barry Phipps. I'm the pastor of the Sound Church here in Haymarket. We actually began 5 years ago in a basement of someone's house in Dominion Valley, launched portably at Rainbow Station that's right up the street, spent a little time at Albee Elementary School, and then graduated to middle school. We're meeting at Ronald Reagan Middle School right now with 2 services. If you want to check out our church, you can download the Sound Church app. We've got a website. You can check that all out. But I appreciate the opportunity to open up this assembly with prayer. So if you would, we'll pray. Almighty God, to whom deserves all praise and to whom all blessings flow, we acknowledge our complete dependence upon you and realize fully our accountability to you. And we ask your blessing upon our city leaders as they steward the responsibilities that you have entrusted sovereignly to them. Grant to this council both wisdom to know what is right in your eyes and the resolve to do it. Lead them in the paths of righteousness and truth for your name's sake, so that they may serve your purposes in this generation. And may your grace abound to them, both in their personal and public lives, so that in all things and all times, having all that they need, they may abound in every good work. This we pray in the name of Jesus, who is before all things, and in whom all things hold together. Amen.
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 We could continue standing for our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, our next item is our citizens' time, and not to be confused with our public hearing, this will be a citizens' time to be able to speak to the town council. If you have any thoughts, if you could just come up to the podium and state your name and address for the record. And seeing none, I apologize, okay.
Give everybody else a chance first. Dottie Leonard, 14801 Washington Street. The only thing that I think is pertinent to this part of the meeting is a continuation of what was spoken of during the last meeting, which was after the citizens' time had occurred. And that was the discussion of fixing this particular building. The facade, etc. I heard things, and I'm trying to be very careful and very diplomatic and not personal. So I won't use names, but I heard, and I'm trying to repair the relationship with said person, but I heard that there was some thought that this building was built in phases, and I sat here and I fell for that myself, but then I got to thinking, what? I was living here then. This building was built with that crappy brick on the front of it, most likely because my dear friend, may he rest in peace, Alan Gossam, used whatever he had that was left of materials, and he probably had enough of the white brick to do the 2 ends and just threw up something else in the middle. That's my thought. We don't have any historic reason to continue that look. So I hope you will take that into consideration. I hope the ARB will take that into consideration for any decision making that is done in the next few months. It seems to me that There was discussion at the last meeting about removing the brick. That would be very costly, and to put a new facade up, why not just paint the brick all one color and have it all match and do something creative if there's money? If not, later, do a creative front entrance and a roof line that doesn't look so flat. You can go up with the roof, make it look much more attractive, make it look like a true municipal building, like a town hall, like city halls would look in any jurisdiction from the period that we're trying to preserve. That's all. Thank
All right.
you.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Dottie. All right. Anyone else that would like to speak during citizens' time? Okay. At this time, I'm going to ask the council to go up in front. We have some, we want to recognize our volunteers of the town formally, and so at this time, we'll go ahead and switch up microphones here and have the council come up so that way we can All right. These are volunteers that have spent hours at our town museum, and we're presenting a certificate of recognition. That the certificate is awarded and for their outstanding volunteer service for the Haymarket Museum. Danielle Kajeski, did I pronounce it right? Close. Thank you so very much. Tina Morgan.
You're making me feel worse. Thanks. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Douglas Nelms. Jeannie Goldberg Farb. She? Okay. And Nadine Breyer. There again, on behalf of the town council, we want to thank you for your volunteering and for your service for the town. Absolutely. Thank you. Sure, absolutely. We could have them all up here. We hope you come back. And Denise? Yep. Great. Thank you. Yeah. And also Denise, obviously, thanks for your being able to pull this together and to keep these volunteers coming back. And thank you for your effort. Okay. Thank you.
Stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down.
Get up again, so don't get discomfort.
Be cold?
Okay, our next item is our public hearing. This will be a joint public hearing, so what we'll do is, without objection, I will open up the town council's aspect of it, and then we're going to invite the planning commission up to the dais for them to actually officially open their meeting. So, again, without objection, I will go ahead and open our public hearing, and we're going to switch seats here for a moment.
Stay here, right?
Yeah, who's here?
Chairman Cottle, I do have a few opening remarks before you entertain the public comment, if that's okay. So I have a few opening comments before you start the public comment, if that's okay. Staff update. What's that? I was just letting him know before they jump in.
All right, well, I would like to call our January 4th, 2016 meeting of the Planning Commission for the public hearing and special meeting to order. Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Leek,
Here.
Casanello,
Here.
Cottle,
Here.
Carroll,
Present.
and Carroll.
Present. All right, thank you. All right, so Marchant, you can give your comments, please.
Mr. Chairman, I briefed this to the council at their work session last week. I mentioned that we would be adding draft motions both for the Planning Commission and the Town Council supporting the land use map change, and also included an ordinance for the council's review and adoption should they choose to do so tonight. So please refer to your packet materials when making your motions this evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, at this time, I would like to invite anyone who would like to speak in favor of or opposed to the comprehensive plan land use map amendment to come forward. State your name and address at this time, please.
Dottie Leonard, 14801 Washington Street. I am in favor of, since I haven't seen that land use map that you did, I would like to see it. Do you mind turning to it so I can see what I'm referencing? I'm in favor of what would be a change in the comprehensive plan that would affect Mr. Watts and the other two homes that are his neighbors. Okay. I see that I do need to address something. I had mentioned this to a couple of people previously, and most of you are familiar that my property, which is only separated from this property by one house, and my property has been zoned B1 since before I bought it. It is not showing gold on this map. So I would assume that at the same time, it wouldn't make sense, since mine's not only beyond being planned, mine is in essence zoned. At the same time, because I was defending Mr. Watts to the extent that I was, and the fact that a big chunk of his property was missing, I got compiled into the same discrimination. So I am already zoned. It would make sense that I would be coded the same color that B1 property. If they are planned, I just want it to be, my issue to be addressed and not left looking like I have a residential use, but I have a B1 zoning. And in the state of Virginia, our property rights are protected, so there's no way to take away my zoning. And they've known I was zoned B1 since before I bought the property. I bought it by the square foot. because it was Zone B1. So yes, I'm in favor of it. I would only add that to it. I would like to see Mr. Watts's issue be resolved. You can't give him back the 1/4 acre that was taken from him, but to add insult to his injury when his property was taken from him, to then downplan him was a major offensive effort to him. And so getting it planned correctly will make a huge difference. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. All right, anyone else like to speak on this? All right, seeing none, we will close the public comment. Marshawn, can you comment on what Ms. Leonard just talked about with the B1 here, please?
Correct. So Ms. Leonard's property, which, can most of you identify that on your map? The proposed plan land use map has those 6 lots fronting Washington between St. Paul Drive and Madison Street. This is recommending the transitional commercial. Her property is already zoned commercial, but is planned residential. So if I understood her request correctly, she's asking that the council, in addition to these lots that are already shown here, that her property also be included in that transitional commercial designation. So, does that make sense?
All right, now what about, it's really small print, looks like the property between hers and the ones we're considering, I mean, that's strictly residential at this point, correct?
Well, one is, it's in a planned subdivision.
Right.
One on the east side of St. Paul Drive is a house within Green Hill Crossing.
Correct.
The lot on the left side or on the west side of St. Paul Drive is owned by the HOA Association. That's their gateway feature or their entry feature.
Right,
So it wouldn't make sense, given its involvement with the HOA, to plan that commercial.
right.
So this would simply extend the designation to her property.
All right, well, let me ask you this. In your professional opinion, would it be better to act on what we reviewed at this point, come back and revisit this at a separate time?
You could. I think there would be a question of, will we have to re-advertise to include her lot? We can certainly, I'd have to talk to or defer to Martin on that one.
Yeah. we would.
So we would need to re-advertise to include that. So if you wanted to have that re-advertised for next month, we could do that. Or you could act on this tonight, and then, as you said, we could come back and revisit that property later if that's the desire.
All right.
He covered it. Yeah, I agree with what Mr. Marchand Schneider said. Yeah.
We'll act on this, then we'll come back and look.
That would be my recommendation, to go ahead so that the property owner who's affected by this doesn't have to wait another month.
Okay. All right. So at this time, do we have a motion to consider the proposed comprehensive plan land use map amendment as presented?
If I could suggest, Mr. Chairman, do you want to go ahead and close the hearing? And then,
I did.
you did? Okay, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Then I will move that the Planning Commission forward CPA 2015-05-014, amendment to the planned land use map as amended to include an additional lot, 14851 Washington Street, the well lot, to the Town Council with a recommendation of approval.
All right.
Second that motion.
Okay. Discussion.
I believe we have discussed it many times.
Right. All right. All in favor that we present this motion up to the town council, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, passes unanimously. I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn the meeting of the Planning Commission for this evening. Do I have a second?
I second.
A motion, second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am? And I just think it would be best if we
Okay. Without objection, I'm going to go ahead and close the town council's public hearing for this matter, and then I'm going to ask Marchant to that's okay? Looks like there's just a couple questions on that, Marchant. I think just the clarification of this, the long-term map versus current zoning
Okay.
map. So, not sure if any council members is clear on that, or making sure that everyone's clear on that? Yep. Okay. All right. Okay. Then I would, at this time, look for a motion from our council. I think if we look on page number 4, and we have a recommendation.
Sir, I move that the town council adopt ordinance ORD 2016-001, amending the Town of Haymarket Comprehensive Plan Land Use Map.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor,
I'll second that.
and seconded by Councilman Passanello. Discussion on the motion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Morris.
Yes.
Edwards.
Yes.
Woods. Aye. Call.
Yes.
Passanello.
Aye.
Aiken.
Yes. All right, great. Moving on. There again, Mr. Watts, I know you're out there listening, so this ordinance did pass, that the change has taken effect. Yeah, thank you. Our next item, during our work session, we were missing 3 of the council members, so we thought at that time, instead of doing a consent agenda, that we would leave all the items back into our as they are right now. But to speed up the time here, if there's no objection, I'm going to go ahead and ask that all the minutes to be included as a motion to accept those.
Mr. Mayor, before making a motion, the continuation meeting that we had, there were a lot of comments from the public, and I also thought that there were some pretty eloquent comments from my fellow colleagues here on the dais, and I'm wondering if we can have those included in those minutes before adopting them.
Yeah. Why don't we, you're right, why don't we go ahead and then pull, would it be November 6th?
I believe it was the November 6th meeting.
Yeah, pull those meeting minutes, and then we will revisit those for next month. But we'll go ahead and vote on the other 3, the other 3 dates, if there's no objection to that. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept the minutes for the regular meeting November 2nd, for the Public Facilities Committee meeting December 3rd, and the committee, the Finance Committee meeting on December 16th.
Second.
Motion been seconded by Councilman Edwards. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Unanimous. Okay. And let's go to our department reports, and we'll see if we can do the same on that. Unless there's an objection or that someone wanted to speak on it or had questions to a particular department, we can group those together and we'll accept those all at once. Okay. All right, great. Well, if anybody would like to move to accept the department reports, then? So moved.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept the department reports as presented in the packet.
And motion on the floor,
I second.
seconded by Mrs. Edwards. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Our next item is our planned land use amendment that, if we actually hit skip forward, so we're going already taking care of that. Our next one would be our budget amendment, and that is on page 45 of our packet. We have a recommendation motion. Any questions regarding this?
I move to adopt resolution number 2015-017, amending the fiscal year 2016 budget as amended through November 24th, 2015.
I'll second that.
Motion's been seconded. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Morris.
Yes.
Edwards.
Yes.
Woods.
Aye.
Cottle.
Yes.
Costello.
Aye.
Aiken.
Yes.
Great. All right. Our next one is Sherwood Forest, the VDOT agreement, page 48 in our packet. And there we also have a draft motion that's been noted at the bottom.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the town council enter into the VDOT stormwater detention agreement for Sherwood Forest.
Second.
Motion's been seconded. Any discussion?
May I just amend that, Mr. Mayor, to include the handout that shows correction in spelling, Sherwood Forest?
So amended.
Okay. Any further discussion? Vote, please.
Morris. Edwards.
Yes.
Woods. Cottle.
Yes.
Costello.
Aye.
Aiken.
Yes.
Okay. Our next item is, Mr. Henshaw, our committee recommendations. I think we have page 56 in our packet. I think we last left this if any of the council members would like to, look at volunteering for, or switching out some of these positions.
But, actually, I thought we already did that since three weren't at the work session. We already volunteered.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So you're two.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. But unfortunately, we couldn't take any official.
Fair play.
Yeah.
Correct them under.
I hope there were no surprises on those who were unable to attend due to family commitments over the holiday season.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I was just going to say, I have nothing to add. I mean, I'll be happy to answer any questions. I did receive a question earlier about the liaisons count, the hourly average, if that counted for the events in the public safety. The answer to that is no. The liaisons were only really calculated for both the PC liaison and the ARB liaison. Liaisons to both the Public Safety Committee and to the Events Committee is basically has an ability to attend. It's not a direct commitment to any particular number of meetings. It's just more of a matter of you're kind of the go-between for, or the informant or point of contact, if you will, for the council and the committees as they stand. For the most part, there probably wouldn't be any action forwarded up to through these committees, but if there were, it would come to you as a council as a whole in a work session through a committee report.
Okay.
I would just like, I've done them both in the past, so it doesn't really matter. I worry a little bit about the events since my job, I do events, so that's a little hairy sometimes if the events would coincide at the same time.
I think Brian, I think what you're mentioning concerning especially events is anyone on the council could attend the meeting,
Right.
so.
They want a liaison for the
Correct.
police department, for the public safety, I'm sorry, and for events.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes. And you weren't officially volunteered for that.
No, I'm
particular-
just saying.
But,
I'm just saying, I have done them both in the past.
Right.
So I'm open to it,
Well,
not both of them. Either
I will
or.
remind the council, just as
thought
I
you said
did
it
on the
didn't
work
matter.
session, actually, the mayor has the ability to appoint any of you all to any of these committees if you're willing to accept, or maybe regardless. But that's the mayor's prerogative. But what I was going to say is essentially, yeah, these are volunteer liaison positions. Right.
What we do, I think, just not to put pressure on anyone for tonight, is if you could just respond to me between now and our next work session, and I'll just make the appointments and based on the responses.
Okay.
If that will be all right with everyone.
Excellent.
Great. Okay.
Sure. Mr. Mayor, the only thing I was going to say is just to close this item out, if you would just take an acceptance of the general recommendation of moving forward in this direction. Nothing is ever written in stone per se with regard to this report, regard to the committee setup. There's always some fluidity to it. This is just more of a, like to close this one out so we can move on and schedule accordingly.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. All right. Our next item is VRE, extension study.
Mr. Mayor? If I may, I believe that Mr. Henshaw actually would prefer a vote, is that correct, on the,
Not to the committee, but just the recommendation.
just to the recommendation?
Right. How about without, there's no objection, we're going to go ahead and accept that.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
No, sounds good.
No objection. There you go. All right. Our VRE, this is on page number 61 of our packet. I think we went over this, go ahead.
And there's a handout.
Yes, I saw that. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
So I know that they've also reached out to the community of Green Hill Crossing, and there's a few dates that are being suggested, and hopefully they'll be acting on that and actually have another presentation that probably because of the venue size on that will be something more of a line of here at Town Hall or some other facility that could accommodate the response that I think our anticipated response. So that's all I know about that for right now. They suggested there's a few dates later in January and first week in February, I think, were a few of the options that their board is considering. Further, so we're on to Dominion Virginia Power, page 62. Any further comments or thoughts regarding that?
I think we had a pretty good discussion, and the only thing that I had suggested was that we add elected officials. So if we make a motion, we should add that in. Is that correct?
That is correct, and it has been added in. I don't know if it's in your roles. I don't know if that was handed out. It was not handed out earlier this evening, and that correction has been made.
To what level do we add? What level, what government level do we?
Well, I think we should go all the way to federal government. We should notify our federal, also our congresswoman, as well as state and county. That would be my recommendation. And also, also the advocacy groups, the coalition and others that are interested in working towards a solution that works for everybody.
Yep.
Do we have that type of distribution list available to readily add them? Okay.
I just wanted to get it
in
codified.
And there's nothing to vote on, or it's just basically a directive that the staff will need. But I think whenever we are making any resolutions or addressing this issue, we do have that standardized distribution list that we send our comments to.
That's correct.
And it would be good because even the advocate groups, they need to know the steps that we're taking and what direction we're heading, so they're aware of it.
The goal of the recommendations that were made was basically really focused on how to reach residents in general, but with that being said, we added a line that says it will also reach out to advocacy groups and elected officials all the way up to the federal end with any various different action items that we're taking on DVP. Our goal of the communication strategy per se and the recommendation that's included in your packet was really to figure out collectively ways that we could be most effective in communicating with our residents. Because a lot of the elected officials are privy to a lot of information that comes to them, especially here in the state with regard to the SEC and their roles in those various different committees that they serve on. So this was more geared towards the residents, but we'll also include all elected officials and advocacy groups.
Okay. All right. Moving on, our Hairover Property Master Plan, page 66 of our packet. Marchand, if you'd like to speak a little bit, and I think we have some draft motions in there as well.
I do, Mr. Mayor. We had, at the work session, I was asked to revise references to the liaisons from the Architecture Review Board. So on packet page 70, and also in the appendix, those liaisons have been appropriately assigned. There was also a recommendation from the town attorney that we remove references to funding for the project through a local bonding referendum. The town doesn't have the ability to do that. That's a larger jurisdiction entitlement, so that was removed from the report. Other than that, it is ready for your adoption, and we have a draft motion to that effect. That motion also further directs the staff to come up with a work plan to implement the plan and identify the noted funding strategies in the master plan.
Great. Okay.
I make a motion that the town council adopt the Hairover Property Master Plan, and I further move that the council direct staff to create a tentative work plan for implementation of the master plan and identify potential funding strategies for the design and construction phases of the master plan.
Second.
Great. Second by Councilman Morse. Discussion on the motion. None. Sure. Okay.
I apologize, I wasn't for the work here, was not here for the work session, but I was going through the phasing. Do we have the ability down the road, as funds permit, to move some of the phasing around if we were to deem necessary?
Certainly. A lot of what's tied to is the disturbance.
Right.
Once we start doing a certain level of disturbance on the property, that kicks in the site planning,
Right.
which is a little more labored. But other than that, it's certainly within your discretion to move the phasing around. This was simply an outline for you to start the discussion.
Right, yeah, I think it looks good. There's just, as we get further down the road, I would have some particular comments on monies spent, but I'm comfortable with where we're at this point.
Great. Okay. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Morris.
Yes.
Edwards. Yes. Woods.
Aye.
Connell.
Yes.
Casanello.
Aye.
Aiken.
Yes.
Wonderful. That's great. Without objection, also, I'd like to direct staff to put out a press release regarding this. And maybe it's possible also we could get the concept drawing to print, to actually be posted up at the property. I'm seeing everyone shaking their head yes, so if that, we'll direct staff to do that accordingly. Great. All right.
Mr. Mayor, just as a follow-up, I will also be preparing the certificate of appropriateness to move the police station from the property either through sale or through demolition, and I'll have that to the ARB this month.
Okay.
Well done.
Mr. Mayor, just to let you know, we're continuing to get interest in the structure, that 14710. That's right. Yeah, 14710, the 14710 is the 14740. And so we're continuing following up. Actually received a couple phone calls today. Be meeting with someone on the property later this week. Plus, we have another one that's already visited the property. So we're moving forward very smoothly. And basically, what we'll be looking for from the council is we're requesting that they come in with a proposal for the purchase. Probably be a very minimal amount. Their main objective is to preserve it by relocating it. So.
Great.
Well done.
I think that was the intent as well, so that's good. All right.
I have a question.
Yes.
when you show these people the property, does Mr. Barbaro go with you, or is he available for comment since he's familiar with the?
At this point, it's more of just they just want to see the structure. They're really
Just vetting who's
yeah,
truly interested.
Ultimately, it is upon the person who's interested to actually come up, and they will have to provide us with a plan on how they plan to relocate it. What we have is we have the assessment that Mr. Barbeau did originally. That was an initial assessment on the structural integrity. Plus, we actually had a more detailed assessment by our consultants through the Hanover Master Plan process. So we actually can provide them with that information as well. But he's not joining us during most of these visits. It's mostly just they just want to see it, and they've been very pleasantly surprised, because I think when you see an advertisement like this, you wonder what kind of condition you're getting into. So most feel very confident that they actually could relocate the structure, and they've fallen in love with it's exactly what they're looking for. So we'll wait. We're waiting to see the proposals come in.
Okay. Any other questions for Brian there? All right. Our next item is closed session. We do have one item that we'll let the attorney bring us into closed session for this.
Find my page here.
That's okay.
The motion would be to enter closed session to discuss, as permitted under Virginia Code Section 2.2, 3711A3, a disposition of publicly held real property, specifically rental of the property that the town owns as commercial rental property.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Great. Thank you. All right, I'll go ahead and call the meeting back to order. We could have, we could call our meeting back to order. Mr. Krim, if you could bring us back into open session.
Thank you, Mayor. The motion would be to certify that to the best of the council members' knowledge, in the closed session just concluded, nothing was discussed except the matter or matters specifically identified in the motion to convene in closed session and lawfully permitted to be discussed under the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act cited in that motion.
Morris.
Yes.
Edwards. Yes. Woods.
Aye.
Lee.
Yes.
Cottle.
Yes.
Massanello.
Aye.
And Aiken.
Yes.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we direct the town attorney and staff to proceed as directed in the closed session.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, unanimous. All right, Councilmember time. Councilman Morris.
Thank you, sir. The only thing I need to add is just about the new signs. They really look good. I think it adds a little touch, especially during the season, the entering into the town. So I know that we've had a few people working on them, and so Denny's worked hard with the team, the new team that's doing them now, Signorama. So it just adds a little bit, a good feeling to the town. So that's it, sir. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Aiken.
Keep it short and sweet. Happy New Year to all, and go Redskins.
Okay. Councilwoman Edwards.
Nothing.
Councilmember Passanello.
I'm speechless.
Councilman Woods.
No.
Esteemed colleagues, I've said it all.
Councilman Cottle.
I do have one thing. But it's
They haven't heard
important.
me speak yet.
Prior to Christmas, I ran into Supervisor Canlon at the post office, and we had about a 10 or 15-minute conversation on the power lines. And we were discussing how we could put some pressure to get them underground. And he said that in order for this project to, so read my notes here, for this project to go through, that the substation has to be located within 1 mile of the proposed business that's going to draw the current. And he said, I said, well, do we have, as a county, do we have any recourse to stop it? And he goes, yes. He goes, the County Board of Supervisors can deny the placement within 1 mile. And he said the precedent for that was set. The same thing happened down near James River where that local jurisdiction denied it. It actually went to the Virginia Supreme Court and was upheld. So they felt like, at least in that conversation, that that may be one way to stop this project as it's currently being put through. He also said, and we've talked about this before, that the reason that they submitted it so quickly to the SEC is that they're under a timeline, and the business is threatening to pull out if it's not completed in a certain amount of time. So I just wanted to bring that to the council, because we've talked a lot about this, but I think it would certainly benefit us to look into this a little bit further about whether they can really, the county can really stop this. And the Supreme Court case of Virginia that denied it or upheld the denial in James River. So I just want to throw that out, because I'm talking to a lot of people. A lot of people do not want this.
Yep.
At least if it's above ground. So that's all I have.
All right, great. And lastly, just wanted to thank our staff, reflect back for last year and all the things that we accomplished, and it's not without saying it, it's the staff that really kind of makes us all look good up here, and just wanted to formally thank you all for your dedication. Yep. All right, and with that. All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you all.